The piece on the cover of Chronogram is called Bipolar Explorer, and he is one of the few that is actually based on a real expedition. This image of Bipolar Explorer is based on Captain Scott when he's at the South Pole, when he's dejected, when he realizes that it's all been for naught, that they didn't make it, that they're 12 days late, and that they've got to get back, and their rations are going, and it's been foolhardy and badly planned to begin with. And the pathos there. But also added to that another layer is just the hubris of the fact that he thought he could just go off into the polar regions and be successful when the Norwegians were much better supplied, much better prepared. And there was also about the same time sort of races for both the North and the South Pole. You know, there was Cook and Perry going off to the North Pole, and there was Amundsen and Scott to the South, you know, all sorts of crazy. So this idea of it being bipolar exploring, but also this idea of being manic about the whole thing and being kind of off their rockers about the whole thing was also part of what all tied into this bipolar explorer. Because how absurd must these explorers look to the indigenous people? You know, when they come bumbling through the jungle in their like pith helmets and their khaki outfits and their jodhpurs and whatever they were wearing, and how crazy they must have looked. So my idea was, well, let's turn the lens, this ethnographic, you know, style of photography, let's turn this around onto our explorers, and let's have a look at how they looked, and let's see if we can have the same sort of analytical eye on them as they were putting on the indigenous people, and see how they would fare in this sort of, you know, survey. I used Polaroid 55PN film, which was a film no longer in existence, but that was a 4x5 Polaroid film that came with a negative. And this negative was gorgeous, but you had to clear it on set and do some processing on set with it. And it was very fragile. But what was wonderful about it is that it looks like a glass plate negative with all those etchings around it and things like that. So again, kind of mimicking how expedition photographers in the old days, what kind of materials they had to use. The funny thing is, I fall in love with my models. I fall in love with the characters. I love these characters. I think they're funny. I think they're adorable. I think they're precious. I think they're me, you know? And when people say that I'm making fun of them, when I'm being cruel and mean-spirited, I get really upset about that, because that's not at all what I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to make a point, a political point with the Misfit Explorers about imperialism or colonialism, yes, I am poking fun at the bumblingness, the silliness, the superiority of the, you know, West and things like that. But I still love them. You know, I still think they're, you know, adorable in their bumbling, idiotic way. And by looking at these explorers, these Misfit Explorers, comical though they are, and ridiculous as they are, I think there's still things to be said to us today, because a lot of our adventures are gone off half-cocked, and we bumble into countries still, and we make a mess of things, we bankrupt our country, and we're still doing it. So to show a light on how ridiculous and absurd these adventures can be is part of the reason I did it.